Once you get to the 30.
Yeah. Well, he is radio now. But you can talk to Paul. Well, very good evening, everybody. Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286. Patricia and David with you again on a very, it's a little bit of wind down here and a little bit of wind for those 6 boats that left Opua today, this afternoon, most of them, or one of them this morning. It's sort of cloudy. We're expecting some weather tomorrow here, and it's not too bad a temperature though. It's 19 degrees at the moment, about 80 to 90% cloud cover. 9 knots from the west or west-southwest, and 1020.3 dropping. So a few showers expected tomorrow, which I'm hopeful for because I planted my spring bulbs today. I'd like to look ahead and know that there will be some colour in the depths of winter. Okay, we have got a half a dozen boats, as I mentioned, left today. Not quite the perfect conditions that we've had over the last 2 weeks for you folks, but according to the boss here, pretty decent passage conditions. Moana Roa, 30-foot boat, will be keeping track of her. She's at 34.56 and 174.13, doing 6 knots, which is pretty good on the north direction, but only about 8 knots of sou'wester. There's a couple of boats that obviously have the engine on, Seahorse from the US, Crazy Daisy, Virgin Islands, and Carla, Great Britain, Cammy Ross, Great Britain, and Peregrine, that's a familiar boat from the US. I'm hoping that Paul will be on because I'd like you, Paul, later to give a call because those boats won't hear me, and there's a little bit of weather that David wants to encourage them to pay heed of. But yeah, everyone's going pretty well. A few British boats actually on the way. Obelix is at 30.49, that's a New Zealand boat. Then the Burmese Breeze from Great Britain further north, Wild Orchid from the US, Trickster New Zealand, Te Puaka New Zealand. Quite a lot of activity actually. And what have we got? There's still about 3 boats at Minerva. Hello, Great Britain is at 23 south. And we've got Bellavita. I bet Bellavita are going to sort of go a bit slow to get into Savu Monday. Bellavita at the moment is at 1928 south and 17933 west. So they'll have a bit of wind behind them to get there. China Cat Sunflower. And then there's a half a dozen boats coming in from the east. Mazums from France, Silver Hills, US, Migrateur, Canada, Holness, France. So yeah, and a huge vessel, if it's correct on the AIS, I suspect it's got a decimal point missing, is in Tonga. The first one we've seen in Tonga, or north of Tonga actually now. It was in Tonga before. It's obviously heading up to Samoa. Okay, is there anybody wanting to make contact with Gulf Harbour Radio? Please call.
Whiskey Delta India 2864.
Whiskey Delta India 2864. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, this is Wild Orchid, and we just wanted to check in, and we heard you mention us, and say that we're having a good time out here on the way to Fiji.
Yeah, well, go ahead and tell us what indeed the wind conditions are. Go ahead with your position because other people will want to hear it. Over.
Yes, we're at 2921 south and 175.48 east. And since I'd say about noon, the wind became more manageable. The seas finally settled down. We battled 4-meter short duration first 2 days, so it was quite miserable. But now it's fine sailing, and away we go. Over.
Okay, so what's the swell now? Over.
We've got about a 2-meter swell, and it's pretty good period, so it's very comfortable.
Okay, sounds good. I don't know what sort of boat Wild Orchid is. I think from my memory when I looked it up, it's about 14 metres. Is that right?
Yeah, 58-foot Oceanus Beneteau is the size and type of boat. Over.
Okay, and how many on board? You've got a fantastic radio signal, by the way.
Oh, thank you. We usually do get good reports. 3 souls aboard.
Okay, so it sounds pretty good. Yes, it looks, well, you've certainly got wind ahead of you, pretty much the same. I won't steal David's thunder. He'll probably comment about it, but yeah, it looks pretty stable for a while. So
no thunder yet.
No thunder yet, he says. All right. Could you do something for me, seeing as you've got such a good signal? Can you see if you can get Moana Roa? Moana Roa. They left today, and they won't be further enough north to be able to pick me up. But I'd be interested to see if their radio is working well. Could you give Moana Roa a call, please? Over.
Yes, Moana Roa. This is Wild Orchid. Over.
Wild Orchid, Moana Roa. How copy of it?
Yeah.
Yes, I've got a good copy on you, Mauna Loa. The Gulf Harbour people just asked me to hail you, and so I've got a good copy on you. Gulf Harbour, any Met traffic for them?
Well, interestingly enough, I can copy them, which is very interesting. Usually our broadcast has been on in the morning at 7:15, but we have got a little bit lazy and doing it at night time now. So I'm just getting used to propagation conditions, but I can certainly hear Moana Roa. Very, very good. That's fantastic. Richard, can you copy me? Over.
Gulf Harbour Radio, Moana Roa. We have you not particularly strong. We'll see if we can copy over.
Oh, that's good news. So what I'm going to do now, because David has a little bit of weather for you folk, a goal actually to get to, and I'm going to pass the microphone to David. As most of you know, he's the weatherman here, and he'll just give you a bit of an update on. I'm sure you've all been feverishly looking at all your different models, but here is the latest take.
Yeah, good evening, Richard, and it looks like a wild orchid is with us as well. Sounds like you're going to have a pretty good passage. But anyway, this is just a short summary for you to digest. The high that's just to the west of New Zealand at the moment will probably move to roughly 30 south and about 173, 175 east, thereabouts by Monday the 16th. The winds are going to be fairly light at 30 south at that time, Monday, looking at about 10 to 15 knots, generally out of the southwest at that point. By Wednesday, though, if you manage to get up to about 25 south, you could expect easterlies, plus or minus on the direction, and they will be about 15 knots. But if you're not quite at 25 until, say, Thursday, the winds are going to back just briefly to the northeast, 15 to 20. I know that's not a very good direction, but that northeast will be pretty short-lived. By Friday, as you continue going north, the winds are going to veer and basically become easterlies, again, plus or minus on that. And they'll pick up to 20 knots plus, really for the rest of the voyage up to Fiji. And then finally, it looks like troughing conditions over Fiji by next weekend. Not sure what your ETA is, but if it is going to be over the weekend, this looks like what may happen. We'll have to see what develops as this week progresses, and we'll keep you up to date if we're able to continue to make contact with you. So that's the short summary. Unless anybody has any questions, I'll pass it back to the boss here.
Okay, does any...
Gulf Harbour Radio, Moana Roa. We got some of that. So we have the Iridium Go, so we'll be able to keep an eye on the weather also, over.
You'll be able to get, what did you say, over?
We got some of the forecast, or the forecast, we have the Iridium Go, so we can also keep an eye on the weather, over.
Roger, Roger. Okay, that sounds good. You will be able to copy us better as you get a bit further north. And just make sure that you haven't got anything operating on board that's going to cause mayhem on receive. Things like chargers and these new fancy lights are a real curse. We put in a couple of low power usage lights, and boy, I tell you what, they just wipe out certain frequencies. So you're coming through well, and you should be able to pick me up really well because I'm using about 250 watts. And if you're not picking me up, then there might be something on board that's causing some interference. I'll just go back to Wild Orchid. Are you copying me okay, over?
Yes, you're 5 by 5, over.
Oh, excellent. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of people, it's not until you get away that you really can work out what might be causing interference on your receive, but certainly Moana Roa is getting out very well. And sometimes, well, the other thing that causes mayhem on our boat is the fridge. When that switches on, it causes a lot of interference, and I sometimes switch it off, which is a curse because I forget to switch it on again. So yeah, just patiently work through things that might be on the boat, and try and work out what's causing the interference. Wild Orchid, what is your name, please, over?
Yes, the pool, and of course we've got Dream Paul aboard, over.
Yeah, you cut out just when you said your name. Say it again, over.
Bruce, Bravo, Romeo, Uniform, Charlie Echo.
You sound as if you might be either an airline pilot or a ham radio operator. Did I choose which one, over?
Ham radio operator, November 5, Victor, Quebec, Papa.
All right, just to let people know who are ham licensed, there is a marine ham net if you feel like chatting, and it works in with schedules at 2100 UTC. That's 9 o'clock New Zealand time, and we have relay stations on both sides of the Tasman, so there is nowhere where you can be out of range. 14315, 20 metres, 14315. You're more than welcome to join us. It's always good to make it interesting. For the last couple of years, with the so few people at sea, it's been quite boring. And I presume you being an American boat, you all know about Pacific Seafarers in the afternoon. So thank you for that. I'll just see if there's any questions for David on the weather. Please call now.
Harbour Radio, Moana Roa. Did you get a copy of it?
Yes, I've got good copy on you, so no problem, over.
Yeah.
I have very good copy on you, Richard, no problem at all, over.
Okay, yeah, we seem to see things off, and it seems to break the signal. Moana Roa, over.
Okay, that's, we'll hopefully you'll get to grips with it. Have you and Lynn been to Fiji before, over?
I've been up a couple of times, it's been some time ago. This is Lynn's first offshore passage, over.
Aha, oh well, good luck, Lynn, and it looks like pretty reasonable weather, so that's good. And yep, you'll certainly enjoy it when you get there. Okay, is there anybody else? We have a fairly casual net. Last week we got into fishing tales. Once I get the positions and the weather over with, if there's anything anybody wants to talk about, or wants to make contact with anyone, or wants to find out where anybody is, I have full global AIS here, so you're more than welcome to ask, and I can come up with the answer to where people are. It is a very, very busy Southwest Pacific because the floodgates have opened from French Polynesia. I would have thought that they would have stayed there a bit longer, but they might have been told to leave like they have in New Zealand. So there's a lot of people leaving there, and a lot, of course, on the passage coming from Mexico. So it is going to be a busy time in Fiji. The boats that headed up, there was 3 boats from the Netherlands are heading into New Caledonia. Lucy Carla is actually doing quite well, 26.24 and 168.32, and followed by Incentive and Ikanu, and they've got 20 knots of wind. And there was a boat a bit further ahead, Kodama from Australia. So, yep, there's a lot of activity in the Pacific at the moment, so it'll be everyone will probably be catching up with people they haven't seen for a while. Okay, is there anything else for Gulf Harbour Radio? Please call now. No, nothing heard. We'll be back again tomorrow evening, same time, 5:15, and we wish you, especially the boats that have left today, they'll be. It always takes me a few days to find my sea legs, which means that if it's rough, I don't enjoy it too much, but it doesn't look too bad out there. And Wild Orchid has said that the seas have gone down. They're just on the Wild Orchid, looking at the GFS model, you're just sort of on the edge of the stronger winds, to the west of the stronger winds, so it's now, hopefully the seas will drop a bit, and everyone on board will be able to enjoy it. Okay, hang on a minute. David wants another quick word.
No, a quick look.
He's giving a quick look at the, well, he knows to look after me with the swell. We talk about 1 bag days, 2 bag days, and 3 bag days, and you will guess what that means. He's just looking at the swell at the moment. I'll pass the microphone.
Yeah, I can certainly see that it's been rough for a while. We're looking at 3.5 meters from roughly, I would say, 35 up to maybe 30 south. And looking at Sunday, they drop off dramatically. That's tomorrow. So you'll be looking at 2.5 meters in that area, and then let's see what the Monday looks like. It drops down to about 2 meters on Monday. So you've escaped the worst of it. The main reason for all of that is the squash zone between a rather vicious depression to the east and a fairly strong high to the west. So where they meet, just a little bit to the east of the dateline, that's the worst of the squash zone, but that's going to create, or did create, some very, very large waves out there. To be expected. Okay, that's it from me.
Okay, well, safe sailing to everybody, and we will again talk to you tomorrow. Anybody wants to make contact by email, it is ghradio@extra.co.nz. Safe travels. We'll be back again tomorrow. Have a good night. Frequency is clear.